Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Judy and you are watching Running So and So, and I'd like to welcome you here today. It's so lovely to have you back with me, and I haven't been around for a little while. The only reason is I've been too busy enjoying myself, and I'm going to explain what I've been up to in a future vlog. A vlog hopefully that will be out very shortly. But sometimes, you know, in life we just have opportunities presented to us and we need to take them, and sometimes it means that you don't get other things done, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's all that's happened to me, and it's all been really lovely positive stuff. Stuff is the best way of describing it. But as I have entitled this vlog, I'm fashionably late to the party. Very fashionably late, because it's over a week since I should have posted this vlog for the Pogonip party, which was hosted by Christine from Gemini Stitches. And we had Ofsted at school, and that just about threw me. I was doing really well, and then suddenly we got the phone call. We all went into Ofsted mode. So we had Ofsted, we got the phone call on the Tuesday, we'd Ofsted on the Wednesday. So Wednesday evening, Thursday evening, I was just like, no, I'm not doing anything, I'm just exhausted. I made it to Slimming World, and that was about it for my social life. But I have now finished my Pogonip, and I am absolutely delighted with it. You can see it here, look. And I put my little label from Little Rosy Cheeks on the outside, and I can't remember which one it is. Hold on a minute, I'm just going to get the packet. I'm whizzing around my sewing room. I have a little box here in my trolley. Let me show you my little box. All because I reorganised my sewing room. Woohoo! I have a little box with all my labels in. And I thought, do you know, these labels are so beautiful, excuse me, that I need to have them where I can see them. So I put mine here. I was going to put it here, and then I thought, no, actually, I'm going to pop it up here so I can really see it. And it's the label that says, Made in Me Time. There we go. Can you see that? Made in Me Time. Just let everything come back into focus. I have a light looking at me now. But I have a nice little selection of labels, and when I go to the festivals, or I see Victoria's got some new labels out, I do tend to sort of a little treat now and again. So the Pogonip. Now, I absolutely adore it. So I have not lengthened the Pogonip. I have made the size small and not done any alterations on the size. When I checked the measurements for the pattern and the finish measurements and my sizes, they seemed to fit perfectly. So I have pulled it down. Now I think it's meant to be a shorter jumper, so it's meant to sort of sit, there's a bone here, and I think it's meant to sit on said bone. But I'm one of these that has to pull everything down, like so. But let's just pull it back up where it's meant to be. So it could be there, it's where it sits really nicely. But as I say, I'm going to keep pulling it down because it's more comfortable. And I love this bit at the bottom here. It's a 1-inch elastic that's in there. I'll show you again when I go back over. And it just fits in, and it makes it look so professional. So as you can see, I'm just going to turn around, and I have got, that's the pocket so that it will fold in on itself. And in there on one side there is a little handle. I can't even feel it, but it's definitely there because I put it in. There's a little handle in there, and I've actually put a popper on it at the top here because I thought it would be better than having a button. I wanted it to be concealed. I did actually put the elastic on for the little button packet, and I took it off. I didn't like it. Now the famous thing on this lovely top is it has welt pockets. Can you see they're here? Do you know, the label would have looked fantastic just there. Really would have looked lovely, or actually at the bottom just here. So here's welt pocket 1, and here is welt pocket. So as I made my Pogonip, I started to record how I was going to tackle various aspects of the make. And I think it would be really interesting for you all if I insert now the clips that I recorded as I made it. And it does include a little bit of chit chat about the make of the Pogonip. So let's start with the welt pockets. So the first thing I'm going to pop into is how I marked the welt pockets on my Pogonip. and it was quite interesting because what I did was I actually traced onto a piece of interfacing. Have a little look at this. I thought I'd just come on and show you what I've done with the welt pocket, and I actually put a piece of interfacing over the end here. I knew I had the right bit because I marked the notch on, and then I traced over the pattern piece and then laid it on, so I knew I'd got the opening marks for the welt in exactly the right place. I flipped it over, mirror imaged, and did the other end as well. So I used a 2-colour pen, so I have pink for the outside and purple for the cutting line. This way I know that I have got everything in the right place. I then stitched around, so I have actually put on this side here, I already have the pocket bag. This side here I do not have the pocket bag, but I stitched around. I didn't just iron it on, I stitched it down as well. And at the ends I went round it 3 times. It needs to be secure. I'm using a jersey fabric. The instructions I have not seen in the instructions that it suggests that you put interfacing down on jersey fabric, but you are going to need to do something to keep it stable because it will move, and move with a vengeance. I did check out the sew along, and she does mention the necessity to use interfacing there, she being the lovely Chelsea who owns the Friday Pattern Company. Right, wish me luck, I'm going in for the kill here, folks. Oh, I'll show you the other side. There you go, I've got the myself coming together nicely here, but I've followed every single instruction, and you have to have a good centimetre, it's easy to see to this end, of fabric over the edge of the welt. So there we go. Now you're back with me. What I did was, by sewing round the outer line, I'll just put a screenshot in here, where the pink line is around the edge of the welt pocket, I've sewn around that with my sewing machine. And by sewing all the way around, I'm actually adding an extra layer of stability to my knit fabric. I have used interfacing. This is not a woven interfacing. This was SF101, woven lovely interfacing. I just used a piece of that because it worked. And as I say, I cut the whole bit out. I've just kept the scraps because the scraps will get used for something. But to me, it was more important that I had those lines in exactly the right place. So I sewed around, and then I sewed at the ends as well for reinforcement. So when I needed to snip into those corners, I could snip into those corners with total confidence. Whether you have a woven or a knit, you need to know that your fabric is secure when you snip into those corners. Now, I'm going to put this in here. So I'm showing you how I'm cutting, and because I've drawn the lines and I did them in 2 different colours on the back, I could very carefully cut through and cut into the corners. Now when I cut into those corners, I'm going to hold my hands up and say I didn't cut right into the corners straight away. I nipped it down millimetre by millimetre, and I kept turning back and turning back and turning back. So shall we have a look at where I'm up to? Now let me turn it round for you. So this is the back. Now, my plan now is I am going to tack, yes, tack with a manual needle, and a little needle and a piece of thread. I am going to tack all the way around there, just in the middle, to hold everything steady. I'm going to use what we call long and short tacking. So you do a short stitch and then a long stitch. Used to be told, when I was taught to do this, they were sort of saying 1 centimetre, half a centimetre. But you guys know me, always bring it down a little bit. You've got to remember that when you're doing anything tricky, whether it be zips, buttonholes, hems, sleeves, welt pockets, a little bit of tacking for a little bit of extra stability goes a heck of a long way. And I would heartily recommend it. Because what I don't want is everything to slip. I want everything to stay where I have got it. And before I sew the pocket bags down, I am going to go to the front and I'm going to sew the welt bit down. So I'm just going to stop here and then I'll fade through to you in a minute. Now, looking down on my Pogonip, I've checked the instructions, and there is an extremely good video that Chelsea from the Friday Pattern Company has done to go alongside this particular pattern. And it's on YouTube. You can just Google Friday Pattern Company and up comes the Pogonip Welt Pocket Sew Along. Now Chelsea does suggest that when you're sewing this little bit here, which is you're sewing the pocket bag all the way round, and as you're going through you have to catch in this little tiny bit of the triangle from when you fold back the welt. And when she does it, she doesn't get it done the first time. I'm going to get it done first time because I'm going to do this. I am going to tack it in place with a small stitch to ensure that it does not move one little bit. And then I'm going to give you a huge tip for actually sewing this pocket together. So that's the first one. I have tacked round the pocket bag. You can't really, oh you can, there's one there, see it. The next thing I will do in a minute before I sew it is to place the welt pocket flap in exactly the right place, and I will tack this down to ensure that I get absolutely no puckering. Got a little bit that's not working. So just here in this corner, I've got a little bit here that doesn't work very well, and I think I can see exactly what's wrong. There we go. Little piece of thread has gone and the problem has gone away. We just now have to sew the pocket bag round on this side and off we go. So let me show you what my little tip is, because you have to sew just in here. Now it looks an absolute mess because there's so many bits and pieces. Let me see if I can just put it in here with the light. There you go. You have got to sew at the bottom of that triangle. That triangle has got to be caught in along with these bits of fabric behind. This is my plan. I have put on my zipper foot and I have worked out where the seam should be. So I've positioned the foot in the needle in the right place to line up to 1 centimetre seam allowance. Now I am going to start with a bigger than 90 centimetre seam allowance. I'm going to pop down my zipper foot, but I'm also going to take over the needle one more step. It's actually gone over to 5. You need to get it as close as you possibly can, and by using the zipper foot, I'm really hoping you can see this. Watch this. It's not what I really want to do, but can you see what I'm doing? I'm really getting close in there. I'd rather lose something off my pocket bag and get the seam in the right place. It's because I'm using the zipper foot. Your zipper foot then can act like an ordinary foot. Now obviously I've made the seam wider. I need to follow the same line all the way down. And this is on the inside, so if your pocket bag isn't the size that Chelsea says it should be, it doesn't matter. It's on the inside, it's the welt that needs to be perfect. Let's go to the other end and do the same thing again, because I've already done the other one down there. Can you see? Really pleased with that one and that one at that end. Oh. So you need to make certain that you have absolutely caught in everything in here, and I can see that everything is caught in by just lifting back. I had everything caught in, and it's caught because I tacked it first. So the next thing is my little seams down the side of the welts, and that's me done on this bit. Now from there I went on to doing the pocket on the back, and the pocket on the back is so that the jumper will fold in on itself and you can carry it around in a little bag. So I thought this fabric is light enough, so I will use that. So that is what I did next. I made the pocket on the back. So I'm actually, on the back of my Pogonip, I'm putting the conceal pocket in, and I'm actually quite pleased with the way it's come out, but I just want to show you how I've done my tailor's tacks. And what I've done is, she says, looking for the piece of paper. So how I did my tailor's tacks was using my friction pen. I actually just poked a hole in the paper, and if you go round and round and round and round on a solid surface, and I used a couple of tea towels underneath mine to soak it up, it will go through to the other side, so you'll get your marking on both sides. So what I'm going to do now is, because I have got a jersey with a woven underneath for the lining on jersey, I am going to stabilise this before I actually sew it in place. And this is like a magic basting, and I picked it up last year when I was in the States. And you lay it on underneath and you iron it in place. And what we will do is, oops, you can't see that. Let me do it on this side here, so you can see. It is literally double-sided Vilene, and it's absolutely immense stuff. I don't know what it's called. L'Oreal just had a spare roll and gave it to me. But when I go this year, when I go in August, I will be coming back with more. So I'm going to pop this on here. Now, the only thing that's a little frustrating for me is I've got a little lump where the handle is. So what I'm going to have to do when I'm sewing this down is just to ease past this little lump. And the little lump actually isn't out of place. It just looks like it is. Can you see it? Because it's got the little handle for when you turn your jumper inside out. That's one of the lovely things I saw about the Pogonip that I really liked, that you could actually pull the jumper back in on itself. And I have cheated big time, because where the opening is, I'm actually going to put a little bit of this in here, because it'll all get caught down. So I've just got the bit at the bottom to do, and then I am going to sew it, and I shall show you what it is that I'm doing. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually using my edge stitching foot, so that I can sew as close to the edge as possible, because there is a contrasting lining underneath there, and we want to make certain that that doesn't come out. So the benefit of your edge stitching foot is that, she says, looking for a pointer, it's a bit like your blind hemming foot. Let me pull it off. There it is. So obviously mine is Bonina, it has a shank on it, but you're looking for a foot, again, with a guide on it like this. If you don't have an edge stitching foot, you'll probably find that your blind hemming foot will have the same effect, because you've got that little ridge across the front here. And it allows you to butt right up to something. Failing that, you could actually get the same effect with your zipper foot probably as well, because that takes you right to the edge, except this takes you on the outside of the foot, not the inside of the foot. So I'm going to pop this on, pull it back very slightly, come down again. Yep, I am there. Now I am going to have to tweak my needle position over one, because I really want to be on the edge, and put my machine to top stitching mode, and off I go. Now I'm going to do a little back stitch here. I'm not a very big believer in the back stitch, but because this is a pocket, it will need it. And again, as you did with your blind hemming, you need to make certain that the little ridge here butts up right up to the edge. So I'm going to stop there, sew, and then I shall come back to you. I've got the pocket on. I'm really pleased with the result. It's not moved at all, but it should have a little bit of a loop there in the middle, and it should have been done in elastic. Now I've not put an elastic loop on it because I was doing it and I was thinking, oh, I don't know if I want that. So I am just going to here, now I've told it it's a Teflon foot, I'm going to pop my machine back onto basting. And yeah, that was the television remote control, folks. And I am just going to baste across here with the machine, and I am just, it'll just hold the pocket steady while I finish doing the rest of the garment. And with doing that, it won't let the pocket pull the rest of the garment out of shape while I'm making it. The next major thing I tackled was this, the neckband. and the buttonholes. Now I have managed to do my buttonholes on my sewing machine, and this fabric, as you can see, it's got quite a bit of texture to it. It's a Beyond the Pink Door Think Pink box fabric that I've had in my stash for a while, and in fact I swapped it with Rachel because I initially got the teal blue and she got this colour. Now I would have been happy, there were 3 colours, there was a navy as well, I'd have been happy with any of them. So when Rachel said, oh, I really prefer the teal, I could see it, because I'm sorry Rachel if this isn't right, but I don't think this is your colour. Yet for me, it's absolutely glorious. So I'm actually really happy with it. And what you can't see is, look at the lining I've got for, look at the lining I've got. It's something that was in my D-stash, and I thought, oh, I know, just the fabrics are out for my D-stash. It came, and back into the stash and back onto Stash Hub. But here's a little tip for sewing buttonholes on a fabric with texture. Here we go. I've actually got everything in there. I've got the needle down to start. I've decided to go for the proper jersey buttonhole. It might leave a little bit of, here we go. I did 2 more buttonhole practices. Now the buttonholes have worked beautifully, and the stabiliser will come out of this eventually, but it will just give it a little bit of substance as I put it through the sewing machine. This was just a standard buttonhole, and as you could see, it has stretched with the knit of the fabric. So there we go. Now I'm being honest about this. It doesn't matter how careful you are with your buttonhole. You'll find something goes wrong. And mind, it's the amount of, for this, it's literally the bulk. So underneath, I've given it an extra piece of stabiliser, and that will help it go through more steadily. So here goes. Look at that. There's always a way through, folks. There you go, that's just the finishing off stitch there, look at that. And underneath, that's what's helped it go through. So this large bit of the sort of the knob, it's just a bit of thick fabric. You stabilise these buttonholes, folks, they will go through. Hold on, we'll do the next one. So here we go, the next buttonhole. And as I say, you shouldn't really have to do any guiding with your buttonholes. You should literally just let your machine do its thing. And this is the jersey buttonhole, and we are working on jersey fabric. It is stabilised. I have been pretty good with this, and I haven't gone off on my own tangent. I'm just going to do the 3rd one on my own. And if you're wondering what this miracle stuff is, it is simply a paper tearaway stabiliser. Normally it's used for machine embroidery, but I've used it for buttonholes. It literally is a tearaway. I just don't know if I can get it, it just tears away. Can you see? Tears away from the button. So I have now put the buttons on my Pogonip, and I've secured the bottom. The reason I've done them now is it's been so much easier to put the buttons in before I put the bottom of the jumper on and left it up here. I am concerned as to whether these buttons, because they're quite large buttons, are going to hold the placket in place. So I may have to put some little poppers on the inside, or maybe just underneath here. But time will tell. I have followed this pattern because this is something new to me. It's exciting. I'm loving it. I'm thoroughly enjoying the make. But I'm going with the flow and seeing what the pattern says before I start tweaking it. In the future, maybe it needs 2 lots of buttons up here. You could perhaps do 1, 2, 3, 4, do zigzag buttons, smaller ones. There's lots of options, aren't there? So my total view of the Pogonip, do I love it? I absolutely love it. Now I do have some other fabric that I bought to make a Pogonip, but it's thicker fabric. And I'd have to think to myself really seriously, would I want to do the true welt pocket on it, or would I want to put a faux welt pocket on it? And I really don't know at the moment. I'm going to make another garment that does have welt pockets, and that's to be in a thicker fabric. If you saw my Think Pink unboxing video, I'm going to try and put a card in for it just up there. You will see that I mentioned making the Blouson Sunset by Maison Fauve. That has a welt pocket in it as well, and the fabric in the Beyond the Pink Door Think Pink Sewscription box last month was a beautiful corduroy. So I'm really thinking that I'm going to use that fabric to make the Blouson Sunset, and I will do the welt pockets on it. Because I know that I haven't taken any full-length pictures to put them in. I will do my best to take a couple of full-length pictures in my living room just to put in so that you can see. I'm really happy with it. Would I recommend the pattern? I would totally recommend the pattern. It is Friday Pattern Company, so you've got a large size inclusivity range. It is a unisex pattern as well. I love this neckline on it, and it reminds me of an artist's neckline. And you know, in the winter I could put underneath it a lovely Judi turtleneck top. Can you imagine having a Judi turtleneck under this? So you've got the high neck here that stands off a little bit, and then you'd have a lovely high neck. And even if you made the top, I know Rachel made one which is like a corduroy, and it's got like a fleecy lining in it. And when I was at that, you could even put a Judi turtleneck under that. And when I was at Isoso in January, there was a lady making a Pogonip in a quilted fabric, again with a lovely like a furry lining to it. And so the top has versatility. Now I am just going to take it off, and I'm just going to show you a couple of the alterations that I've made. Here at the front I have added a prested, and the prested is just in here because without the prested I felt this bit here gaped a little, so I've just popped on underneath here a nice large clear plastic prested, and it's holding the front together a little better. And on the back, for the back pocket, rather than having a button fastening, again I've used a lovely little prested, and the whole point of the Pogonip. So here we go, I've folded it back in on itself in the pocket bag, and there's a lovely flap to fold it over at the top here like so. And if you're out for the day, you can carry your jumper around like so. How versatile is that lovely top? Now to get it back out again. And I was thinking, you know, when I go to the Stitch Festival later this month, I might take this because, you know, I'm going to be inside most of the day, and you know, I'm going to be on the train, but the train's heated, so there we go, there's my Pogonip back. So I do hope you have enjoyed watching this little vlog with lots of techniques, and I look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon. Take care.